Evening, Cheese Room, and welcome to our Wednesday night, normally a ramble show, but tonight it looks like it's going to be a bit of a therapy session. How things change quickly in the land of Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. 3 days ago, everyone was absolutely ecstatic, happy with what they were seeing, and we was even getting renditions and shout outs from famous, world-renowned singing artists such as Robbie Williams.
And through it all, we'll play the way we want to, with big edge past the car glue. Whether I'm right or wrong, it's big and ball, so you can keep your Pochettino, Conte and Mourinho, and even Christian Groves. 'Cause everywhere we go, I'm loving big Ange instead.
Have you lured me in with that?
I'm sure we'll get into all of that. But discussing everything from the highs of Saturday's away win on the South Coast to the lows of yesterday's early cup exit at the hands of Fulham, we have got a star-studded panel of guests, regular Wednesday night contributor all the way from the States. We've got Jack. Jack, how's life the other side of the big pond?
Well, it's actually no longer feels like 40 degrees Celsius here. I'm really excited about that, but we are also waiting for a hurricane to sweep through that's just come out of Florida. So we're a little on the nice edge, I guess, right now. I'm focused on that because that's much better. I'd rather think about a hurricane than the performance last night.
Good, excellent. And then all the way from an even further pond, we've got Davo from Australia. How you doing, mate?
Well, I've already got three things to say. One, I was rotated late into this like Ange did for the lineup yesterday. That's one. Two, I'm genuinely very excited. I've never been on a show with Jack before. And, you know, he's the smoothest voice in America, FM radio. And Harry, you know, the next gen, this gen podcast creator. And finally, the number of people, so there's people who know I hate Robbie Williams and have been sending me that for days. Harry's already gone; he's had enough. And then there are those who, you know, because of Ange's profile, who coming up to me at work in the streets about, isn't it great about Robbie Williams? I hate Robbie Williams. Good evening, everybody.
Thanks, Davo. I thought that would wind you up. And returning to making second appearance on the Wednesday. I think Wednesday night. I think he was on Wednesday night last time. Harry as well. I can't remember yet. We've got Harry all the way from Scarfy Spurs Talks. Great little show going on over there. I've had the pleasure of going on it now once. I'm on it again, I think, in a week or two. So, Harry, welcome back to the Cheese Room. How have you been?
Nice, doing really well, thank you. Apart from obviously Spurs the other night, which I'm looking forward to getting into with a fantastic panel tonight. You're on my show Monday, so don't turn up in a week or two's time because you're on Monday. But no, thank you very much for having me on once again.
Good stuff. Okay, so let's get straight into it. We're still in love with Ange, I think. We still love Big Ange Postecoglou, but let's start with the obvious start point. The lineup was announced. I think we was all expecting some changes to the team. In fact, he went as far as to say he would freshen it up with the intent of winning the game. Davo, what was your take when you saw that lineup?
I couldn't believe it. I think he's put absolutely unnecessary pressure on himself. I really do. It's a Premier League side away. It's all or nothing on the night, and there's an international break coming up after Burnley. We've got no European football, and given that the pre-season that we've had, which is very truncated, and I'm actually quite amazed at the start we've made in the league anyway, in the circumstances, it's just not necessary. I never want to see Skipp and Hojbjerg playing in midfield together ever again. And old Ryan Mason should have told them that after last season.
Okay, interesting. Harry, what was your take? Was you surprised to see so many changes?
I expected changes because it's happened before with Tottenham in recent years. We all know how it ends. We got the same ending, so I wasn't surprised. And said that he's going to make changes, but I was gobsmacked by nine changes. It just confused me, and that filled me with no confidence whatsoever. I don't get it because he had the whole of pre-season. He's had 3 Premier League games to try new things. We're not in Europe. Like Dave says, we've got the international break coming up. There's no need to rest players. Third, fourth game in, it's just unnecessary pressure on himself. And it feels like a bubble's kind of burst, if you like, because like I said on TalkSport earlier, because still excited, yes, for the season, but for Spurs, you haven't won a major trophy since 2008. This was a massive opportunity, realistically our best to win a trophy. I think we could have had a real chance of having to go at it, getting to the latter stages, and we've blown that in round 2, which is there's no excuses for that. So what's important now is the reaction against Burnley, but the lineup was atrocious for me.
Harry, I've just got to take you back to something you just said there. You said TalkSport earlier. Did you follow in Davo's footstep and make an appearance on TalkSport? What show was you on?
I was on. All I remember is Darren Bent was on it. It was about 5:30 in the evening.
Oh, right, okay.
I called in. I wanted to vent my frustration. So that was quite nice. It's on Twitter on my page at the moment if anyone wants to see it. But just kind of said that Ange hasn't helped himself. He's kind of fallen into the trap that everyone else at Spurs has done, which is a shame really. But hopefully he will learn from this. But I was on TalkSport earlier.
Davo's also got his feature from TalkSport pinned on his Twitter as well. If you want to find it.
I don't think I have actually. I don't think I. They actually won't let me back on TalkSport now. Surprisingly, they won't let me back.
All right. Jack, two people stayed in the squad from the game at Bournemouth. Richarlison stayed in up front and Van de Ven at left centre back. Does that probably say something about the state of our squad in those 2 key positions? The fact that they're the only 2 changes, or the 2 people that retain their space in the team?
Well, I don't know about what it says. For me, I can tell you that I think Van de Ven stays in because he's the one who needs the most game time with Tottenham in the system. I guess I was kind of surprised that. I wasn't surprised that Sanchez came in, actually, but I guess he's the one who's been with the team the least, so that he's the one who wants him to, the manager wants him to play as much as possible. And Richie's same sort of thing. I think a lot of people who've defended him have said, he hasn't really gotten a proper run through the middle of the formation, and so you want to give him opportunities to find the game, to have an impact, and he needs game time. Certain players are such that you can't just drop them in here and there. They need to play consistently, and so that would be the reason. As far as all the changes are concerned, I put into our Patreon chat when I saw the lineup, I had a 1-word response, and that was yikes. And I was not. I mean, my son was on the show on Monday night, and he predicted a 1-1 loss in penalties. So we both of us looked at that lineup and said, "Yeah, that's what happened is not surprising at all." And I agree with everyone on the panel. I can come up with some ideas as to why he did what he did, but the idea that he says he was going to rotate players with the eye towards winning the match, that's a mystery to me. He's either very deluded about certain players or combinations, or he's not telling the truth. It's just very surprising, because I could make a case for every single one of the people that came into the side. Every single person who played who was not the regular starter, I can make a case for. You can't make a case for all of them playing together. There's just no way you can put a bunch of people in who are not ball handling, playing type of footballers and put them all together to expect them to execute that system. It's just a recipe for disaster. So you've got to come up with either he just was fooled by the Barcelona games. A lot of those players did perform pretty well in Barcelona, and not understand just a cup match and a preseason friendly. I don't know. Or he's deliberately trying to put people in the window, which seems weird to me. I don't know, but I was frustrated when I saw it, and not surprised with how the game played out.
I mean, David, are we being a bit too critical of the 9 changes, bearing in mind we were at Fulham away. We did take them full time 1-1, and when it gets to penalties, it's a lottery. Doesn't it's one of those things that could go one way or the other. It could have quite easily gone the other way. We win the penalty shootout, and we're not having this debate about 9 changes. We're saying Big Ange, tactical mastermind, kept the squad fresh, blah 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 blah. Are we not?
I just want to call out Novagen. I like you, Novagen. I respect you. And that's not my alias, just tapping away on a keyboard somewhere. I like other people who've been on this show and messaged the show that they're on. I find that a bit weird. But it's all very unnecessary to make 9 changes. We've got a team that's 1-2, drawn 1 from the first 3. We're going into the 4th game of the season, as I said, as an international break. And yeah, we're away at Fulham, who've had some good results so far this season. I think they drew the Gooners, didn't they? So it was not an easy place to go. So why make 9 changes? And as I said, I never, ever want to see Skipp and Hojbjerg together again. And to your question to Jack about the state of our squad, let me leave you with this thought before you move on. Davinson Sanchez is our 3rd choice centre-back at the moment. That's it.
Yeah, but
that's all I have to say.
All right, we will get onto that, I'm sure, as we talk through it. Although Ange is very complimentary of Sanchez, isn't he? Has been very complimentary. He's even complimentary of him last night, I believe, and his performance.
I think Ange is in the complimentary stage, being complimentary about everybody until they leave, and then he doesn't have to be complimentary about them anymore.
Probably. Fair point. Well made. Yeah, no, it's a fair point. Well made. Jack, yeah, that's a good point, Keith. Jack, back to you. What was your overall impression of the way that we played and the general approach to the game? Were we good value for the draw? Was we lucky to get the draw? How did you see it?
So I was able to get up early enough to rewatch the first half because I had a better sense of the second half than I did the first. But it confirmed for me what I recalled, which is you had a side who was actually trying to play the system. I mean, both Davies and Emerson were coming inside to help in the build-up. We had Pierre dropping in between the center backs and receiving the ball and trying to progress. And the problem is that those 3 players alone, okay, Davies, Pierre, and Emerson, all who have merit in their own right, are not going to build out of the back against a Premier League side, because Hojbjerg, made one attempt to receive the ball and do a Bissouma-like turn upfield, and his turn was right. He was wide open in the middle of the pitch and inside the circle, but his touch got away from him so badly that it turned into this calamity of errors that eventually found the ball at Perisic's feet out left. So it actually worked. But the problem is, too many times he receives it, and what he's doing, and the few times that Skipp touched the ball, they would just tap it back to the center back, and and Davinson getting a ball back to himself, and then it just kept repeating over and over again. We weren't able to build out because those 3 players plus those 2 center backs are not going to beat a Premier League side who's putting on a mildly aggressive push. It wasn't intensive, mildly aggressive. And so it just never worked. You can't execute that. And this number of passes throughout the side that were 5 feet off or went out of bounds or off someone's foot just over and over again. I wanted to watch the first half again to see kind of Gio's movement, see where he was. And when he got the ball, he didn't do a lot wrong, but it was so clear that his ability influenced the game anywhere close to what James Maddison's done in the first 3 matches it's a night and day. Again, he didn't do a lot wrong, but he didn't do much to really positively impact the game. He wasn't coming back and getting the ball, and even when he did, he was sometimes doing the same thing where he just one touch it back to where it came from, as opposed to taking the ball, spinning upfield. And it shows you how much Bissouma means to this team right now, because he makes the build-up work. Because I could almost play, if I were 30 years younger, I could almost play center back, because all I got to do is give it to that guy. And then he takes on 2 or 3 people and moves the ball upfield. I mean, when you have a player like that, back when we had, another brilliant holding midfielder in that role many years ago, it's not that hard to build out. But swap him out, and all of a sudden you see the problem. And that's the reason why I really hope that Bentancur is going to get healthy, because I really think he's someone who can still play that role when you don't have Bissouma, because you can give him the ball under pressure, but no one else I really feel comfortable in that role. And that was the pain that I watched again this morning, just to reconfirm what I saw last night.
Yeah, no, thank you. Harry, these players that played last night, the 9 that come in, obviously it's their first game of the season, haven't played much football at all. Was it a surprise to see the team look disjointed, really? I mean, what else did we expect to happen?
No, not at all, because when you make 9 changes, it's the same with anything. You know, anyone who plays Football Manager or FIFA Manager career will tell you that when you make too many changes to your team, it doesn't work. Nottingham Forest will tell you when they, bought loads of players in. Chelsea will tell you, their billion and the amount of players they brought in that one window last summer. It just doesn't work. It doesn't click. So it was never going to work. 2 or 3 changes, I understand. For me personally, I would have gone with the best 11, because I know that it's been ages since we won a trophy. We need to treat it seriously. We're not in Europe. This is the perfect opportunity to do that, to treat it seriously. And, it's almost like we showed a lack of respect to the club and a lack of respect to Fulham. Fulham nearly finished above us last season, only a couple of points in it. And they beat us on the night again with a weaker team. They made changes themselves, but not as many. But everyone keeps telling me that, all these other Premier League teams on the same night made changes. Yeah, but look at the difference in opposition they were playing. They didn't play a Premier League club. And, Tottenham haven't won a major trophy, like I keep saying, since 2008. So it's mind-blowing. Never going to click. So Ange, like I said, there is no excuses. Still love him, but, he's got to do better. He's got to realise, accept the mistake, because you can't defend it, I'm afraid. No manager can defend making 9 changes in a game that is important for me. The club, yes, it's round 2 of the Carabao Cup. We're now out of the cup, a cup that we could have won. So, yeah, it's never going to work, Craig.
Yeah, just on that point, Davo, he did try and defend the selection. He said, it is my priority, but there's no European football. So how am I going to find out about our players? What opportunity would I have to do that other than this game? They are all part of our club. We thought that they'll be able to bring a different energy tonight, and that doesn't mean the cup or any game isn't our priority. From my perspective, we're very much at the discovery stage, so we need to find out and give the players the opportunity to contribute, because that's why they're here. They're not just here to make up the numbers. They keep working hard and deserve the opportunity to go out and play tonight. Does that wash with you, Davo?
It does not wash with me at all. All right, because we, let's just say, I'd love, the best opportunity for us. Well, our only opportunity to win a trophy now is to win the FA Cup. But let's just say we look at it the other way. We get Man City away in the 3rd round of the FA Cup. Old Daniel is going to be looking at no cup games at home for a whole season. And I think we went out. Where did we go out to last season? Sheffield United away. So in the multi-purpose venue that we've built, he won't be playing any domestic cup football for quite a while, if that's the scenario. So no, I don't buy it. He knows the history of the club, that we need to go and get a trophy, right? And Dorso makes a very good point about discovery. We could have all told him that Hojbjerg and Skipp don't work together. He doesn't need to play them, right? So it doesn't wash with me. It's just so unnecessary. And the momentum, we've got momentum and feel-good factor after the first 3 games. Now, if he loses at Burnley because he's rested people, you know what the press are like. They'll be right on it, and it puts pressure on us going into the international break. So I don't buy it. He should have just gone for the victory. He's going to know what the players are like. He's already made his mind up about Ndombele, Rodon, Spence, and a few others already. So what else does he need to make his mind up about?
He was asked, Jack, as well, was it about learning who he can or can't rely on? And he said, I wouldn't say I can't rely on. That's a bit harsh for me. I like the way we hung in there. The character and resilience is going to be important for us and needed going forward amongst the group. We've come away in a cup game to a Premier League side and lost on penalties. If we lost 4-0 or got blown away, maybe there'll be a different discussion to be had. But if we won on penalties, would my view be different right now? No, they'll be exactly the same. It's not measured by the outcome. It's measured by the whole experience of seeing the guys out there and how much they're understanding our football. There were some good moments and some moments we have to improve on. So I mean, he's staunchly defending putting these players in, isn't he? There's no doubt, Jack, that he's happy with that decision and doesn't see the loss as a big issue.
Yeah, and that's part of that answer, and some of that I appreciate. I actually like, and part of it it alarms me greatly. And let me, I guess, explain that a little bit. Following on Dave's point, it's if you needed to find out about players, I'd say Burnley away is just as good, if not better, an opportunity to learn about your players, because I think we can all agree that no one is under any illusion that we're challenging for the title. But to Harry's point and other fans is that a League Cup run to possibly win a trophy is very doable with this side. And so if you're going to experiment with 9 changes and players who have not played together, take Burnley away. Because if you lose that match, the season, you've dropped points. But again, it's not like you're out of sight for a top 5 finish. So I don't see why you do it in a knockout game when you don't even have extra time, where you could bring in more subs and give James Maddison another 15 minutes to find a goal or something. I just don't understand. I mean, certain players that we probably would have liked to have seen come on didn't even dress, weren't even in the squad. And so I just don't understand the logic at all. As far as defending that they did good things, they did. I said, rewatched the first half. They tried to execute exactly the same kind of system game plan we did in the first 3 matches of the season. They really did. They were just technical inabilities to do it and some general lack of cohesion, which you would expect. Even Man City, if they swap out 9 players, even with world-class players, might have a little bit of a hiccup, at least for a little while. So I just don't understand this. 9 is just such a large number. You could have lived with 4 or 5, as I said. You just can't play all of those guys together. All of them have qualities that I like. You just can't put them all on the pitch at the same time.
Can I take you back to Poch's first season, right? And our expectations weren't massively high. He had to try and get a tune out of the Beatles, no pun intended. And he had to, and he was following Tim Sherwood, which is not very hard, right? And we got to the League Cup final that year, right? We maybe didn't beat many tough opposition on the way. And we got to the final. We got a day out at Wembley. And then you had Kane's, to my mind, Kane's turning point. And we really kick-started. The Poch era really kick-started that New Year's Day fixture when we beat Chelsea 5-3. But you got a deep cup run, you got momentum, and you got a feel-good factor, right? And that buys you time and buys you room. And he's blown it unnecessarily.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, Dave. I'm glad you made it, because it made me think. I was thinking about this actually very late last night. Relationships are all about deposits and withdrawals. Everyone in your life you have to make deposits with on a regular basis, because eventually you're going to have to make a withdrawal. And Ange been doing a great job of making deposits with the fan base, and he just made a massive withdrawal. And I could, and some people I'm reading feel like he's overdrawn his balance, and it's just unfortunate. I think it's unnecessary, because by the way, don't let me, huge supporter. I was a supporter as early as April of last year of hiring the guy, I think, on this show. But I definitely was someone I was big fan of, to say he's the right profile. I'm not smart enough to know whether he'll work, but he was the right profile manager we needed. So I'm not bailing on Edge. I just don't understand the decision, and it makes me feel like he doesn't understand how my son slamming doors last night, because he's just doesn't. He's like, we want to win something. How important it is to fans to win a trophy. I mean, and that's the frustration we had with Poch all those years, is just not taking those competitions seriously. Understandably, I know all the other mitigating factors, but this was such a good opportunity. I agree. It just was thrown away, it seems like, just for no good reason.
I mean, Harry, I've listened to you on your show, and I know when we spoke last time, we was talking about Ange and what the future looks ahead. And we all made the point, everyone's made the point, that we expect it to be up and down, topsy-turvy start to the season. Obviously, we've started a lot more brightly than I think everyone probably thought we would do. You think that's part of the reason why the disappointment is so, the downer of this loss is so hitting us all so hard, or hitting some fans so hard?
The reason it's hitting the fans generally hard is the fact that it was there in front of us to take and to grab and to win. And Jack makes a perfect point. It's a trophy that we can win. We have the squad to do so. We have the team to do so. That's the frustrating thing, because I don't think Fulham were fantastic. I think they were there for the taking. Full strength team beats them. Not being funny. I disagree with this comment because I have no expectation to win something. However, I think it's realistic saying that we had a chance of going into quarter semi-final beyond of the Carabao Cup with a club like Tottenham Hotspur. I'm not sitting here going that we could have or should have won it. We should be able to progress and give us a fighting outside chance. I suppose we focus on the league, but dropping 3 points isn't going to change a lot. Of course, you want to win every game, but a cup means a lot. And you don't mind if you treat it seriously. I have no problem going out last night. We put out a full strength team. We're giving it everything. Left everything on the pitch. Or in Angie's case, the full strength team does as much as you can, and the players let him down. I wouldn't be moaning at all. I wouldn't have a problem with it at all. I wouldn't have even bothered calling Talk Sport earlier. But it's the fact that it was in front of us, and we've decided to go. Let's focus on the league because. Of course, we want the best possible league finish, but other clubs will continue to see us. Banter FC, we get called, and other clubs take the Mickey out of us because the lack of trophies, how we haven't won a trophy, this decade, etc. So we could have had a chance to silence that, and we just haven't taken it. For me, it was there for the taking last night, so it's frustrating. Yeah, I expect ups and downs. You don't expect Ange to come in and win 7 games in a row. And win the double just like that, or win trophies just like that, or get to finals just like that. But when you in front of you, the very minimum you expect us to try, and we just didn't do that for me last night.
See, I think Jack made a very good point about relationships and withdrawals and deposits, which is causing me to think about the relationships in my life. But that's another topic for another day. And but I'll take you back to Sheffield United away, because I think the narrative up to Sheffield United away last season was that Conte hasn't been backed, right? Porro was in at the last minute and this, that and the other. The fan base was there. But the minute that Conte picked that team, I think he was still in Italy and Stellini was on the bench. And the minute he picked that team, to a lot of people, that was the beginning of the end, because that was a great opportunity, right? Now, I was of the mind that the team that he picked that night was good enough to beat Sheffield United, who were playing with a changed team and an 84-year-old up front striker on his own, right? But that's, but the point is that that's when I think it turned for Conte and the fan base. That's when it started to turn. And I hope to God that's not what we're seeing now. But as I go, it's just unnecessary.
Yeah. I mean, you're definitely right. That's when it turned. I mean, I was at that game. Jack will remember because he was on the show and I called in from the car park queuing for an hour waiting to get out of a blooming
I remember that.
Rubbish car park. Yeah, I was fuming.
You were listening to. You could hear your Coldplay going on in the background.
Yeah. I'm Robbie Williams.
I thought it was Robbie Williams, actually. But
yeah. I was so angry. I almost phoned Talk Sport, Dave.
It's quite clear that that's quite good. The last straw trigger point for any Tottenham fan is to ring Talk Sport wherever you are in the world. You ring them, and then that's what you did, right? That's what you did. That's the trigger point.
Yeah, exactly. All right, okay. I mean, I think we're still loving Ange, aren't we? We're still very much on the Ange train, though, right? He's done sensationally well up to this point. My take on it is, I think he's obviously. My view is he showed a lack of respect to ultimately to Fulham last night in his team selection, a lack of respect to the competition, a lack of respect potentially to the fans, but. I don't think it was something that's going to define his tenure at Tottenham. I hope not. Anyway, Harry, agree with that?
Yes, I do agree. Still, obviously, fully behind Ange. He's made a mistake, and I just hope he can learn from it. It's just that if he wanted to prove that he's different to any other Tottenham manager, perhaps he would have seen a single game in this competition, or the FA Cup where we get knocked out, Sheffield United and Middlesbrough, 365 days apart, where we thought the team, of course, it should be good enough, our second team, to beat those oppositions, but we've seen time and time again it isn't. He should know that Skipp and Hojbjerg, don't work together. Surely, someone's told him. Surely he's seen it somewhere. How many times have we seen it? It just doesn't work. This is the same. It's almost like having the same player. They're very alike in what they do. For me, don't offer that much at all, I'm afraid. Definitely on the Ange train, but I feel like it's like having 5 bubbles and one's burst. There's lots of optimism there, but it's a bit of a down. But the response, like I said, against Burnley is important, and what will define, I think, this season and just the mentality of the group. Because if we lose to Burnley, then perhaps we all of a sudden have problems and mentality thing again. But if we go and we smash Burnley, that says that we're serious and we're back and we're willing to put that right. So it doesn't define Ange's tenure. It shouldn't define the season, but it's not the great start. In August to only have one trophy to fight for.
Yeah, if we beat Burnley, Jack, and obviously we've got the preview show on Friday for Burnley. Is this forgotten? Is it a distant memory?
No, for me, I can only say it's not a distant memory, and there's a lot of good, provocative comments here from great supporter of the Cheese Room, Gov. Talking about this is bad planning by Levy and squad players 10 through 20 are terrible, and they didn't play full strength. They rotated, I think, 3. I'll have to check the lineup, but I think they rotated 3. Gov, and if we rotated 3 or 4, I don't think anyone on the show would be complaining.
Right.
So, I mean, I think the issue is that this idea that we threw away an opportunity. I just don't. I think the emphasis has been made is that this club needs a trophy, and we all recognize whether Levy is going to stay as chairman unless we're writing a check, and we all know the limitations. He is not going to take the financial risks to put into the squad the talent that we need to honestly challenge for the league. So really, at this point, we've got a manager who plays a system who in a knockout competition could win a trophy, and that's what disappoints me, because I know that it's unlikely that this club is going to be a title challenge anytime soon, because I know who runs the transfer policy. And until that changes, we got to take what we can get. And I mean, and again, almost all clubs are not going to have a title change. I mean, for the history of the Premier League, there's really only been 4 clubs that have won it, right? Yes, I know there's Leicester. I know Liverpool's gotten their one, but they've won other trophies along the way. So I just say, hey, you got to take your opportunities as a manager to make your mark. And this was an opportunity. And I just don't think he really he must have massively underestimated what he thought that 11 could do. That's the only thing I thought, because again, he made halftime subs and he made a formation change. It seems like I still couldn't figure out what we were playing in the second half, but it worked because we went from 0 shots on goal to finishing with 10. And again, if not for some unfortunately poorly timed passes, we probably should have won that game still.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, let's leave that game there to history for now. Let's move on. In this segment, I just wanted to touch on Richarlison. Harry, I'll come to you first, if I may. Richarlison, obviously, big boots to fill. He's the number 9, replaced Harry Kane now. He clearly seems to have the support of Ange, public support of Ange in a way, and he's obviously featuring in all the games from the start perspective, starting in all the games. What have you made of Richarlison so far this season?
Good question. Not fantastic, but people who are criticising him, I will say that he's a new system, it's a new role, and it's big boots to fill. Obviously, we don't want to be in this situation 7-8 more games time where he hasn't scored in the Premier League, won in all competitions. The goal the other night, Fulham, which was just taken nicely, by the way. You've got to be there, right place, right time, good header. The service, I don't think, has been fantastic. I don't think the front 3 all season have just clicked yet. Hope they will. I don't think the blame's just on him. You can blame anyone for the delivery. So you suggest the idea to sell Richarlison. I don't think we get a lot of money back for him, so we've got to stick with it for now, unless we bring in a high-profile striker, if you like. But no, I have trust in Richarlison in terms of I think he can make an impact to this team, but he does need someone to compete with him, challenge him, and he needs patience. So he hasn't been fantastic so far. I think he'll work out whether he's going to be the permanent, if you like, number 9 for the season, or he's going to be in and out of the team, different positions. I think he, like I said, he will come good. I think he's proven for both Watford and Everton. He scores goals. He could be a dangerous player. I think he has everything Ange wants in terms of his work effort. He buys into what he's doing, the press. So he'd be a really key player. How important, I don't know. But we need someone to change with him. But no, not fantastic start. But I'm not going to judge him after 4 games in all competitions because you'd be crazy to do so.
Yeah, Jack, interestingly, Ange commented on Richarlison last night, said, I don't know the exact words, but essentially said that he didn't feel Richarlison out of the games this season, that was his worst performance so far, even though he scored a goal, because his overall contribution to the team play and the way they wanted to set up wasn't as effective as he was in the 3 league games prior. So I guess the point I'm making is in Ange's mind, it's not necessarily all about scoring goals for Richarlison at number 9. It is about how he contributes to the overall style of play and links the front 3 together. Do you see a world where Richarlison could come good for Tottenham and he could be that 20 goal a season striker we potentially need?
No. And I say
damning, that it's damning.
and that's the end of the show. Good night, everyone.
And I say that actually as someone who really likes Richarlison. I mean, I'm not wild about his personality and demeanor on the pitch, but as a person, as a human, actually, I like Richarlison a lot, and I want him to be successful. I want him to score 20 goals, and I'd like to see that if there's something he can learn from his fellow friend and countryman Emerson, because if Richarlison could improve the way that Emerson improved from basically almost useless and getting booed out of the stadium to a serviceable wing back under Conte. Not a great one, but just at least someone you're not just, terrified when he steps on the pitch. That would be a great step. I think Aaron just make a really good point, and he's probably overemphasizing it. I think I'd have to rewatch, which I won't, all the games, but I think he's trying to give him some cover, because it is true that if you were just watch all the games and follow Richie's movements off the ball and what he's doing, I think he does contribute. But the problem that I still see over and over again is he doesn't use his size effectively. His hold-up play should be a lot better. He often is he doesn't challenge for balls in the air, I think, the way he should to try, because he needs to be more of a physical presence to try and disrupt the back line. And I just don't see him doing that in our system. But yes, he could be very effective, and he doesn't even need to score 20. I mean, if he could just do his Everton average in this system, I think that would be more than adequate. It's maybe not 60 million pounds adequate, but it's certainly enough for, Stuart, you're right. I mean, his first touch is something that must be worked on, and maybe it can't be improved. I don't know, but it's definitely, I don't see him scoring 20 at any point in all competitions, unless there's a radical improvement in his vision and his touch, in particular inside the box.
Yeah. Remind me what his Everton average was. Was it 6-7 goals?
No, 15. I think actually it was, his peak was 15, but I think he averaged around 10. I think if you put all the games together and divide by goals, you get around 9-10.
Yeah, right, okay.
I think he's got a 1 in 3 average, maybe.
Something like Everton.
That. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where are you at, Davo, with the Richarlison conundrum?
I don't know what you're doing there, Craig, but anyway.
I've just put my power cable in, mate, don't I?
All right, are you okay? All right. So, listen, I'm not going to lie. I was well on board buying him last summer. A proper old school Tottenham signing of buying a best player of a lower league down the Premier League club. Brilliant. 50 million plus 10 add-ons. Levy taking advantage of Everton's FFP situation. Doesn't sound really like he was taking much advantage when he was having dinner with Bill Kenwright at the Ivy doing the deal. He had 3 Brazilians, I think, on sale last summer. Rafinha went to Barcelona, who I think is a great player, but he was going there. Jesus, his scoring record was about 1 in 3, which I thought at Man City he could have done better. And then you had Richarlison. So I was really excited about it. I thought it was good. What became clear quite quickly, even though Conte said he could play across all the front 3, he can't. out of Son, Kulu, Kane, and him, he is the worst kind of footballer in terms of his approach play and things like that. But I think I tell you on the game, you've got Perisic, who is capable of whipping in a deep cross or a decent cross from the touchline. Now I know that Perisic crossed it in with his right foot, but he's good in the air, Richarlison, and I'm afraid to say with Kulu and Son, that doesn't work for him. I mean, unsurprisingly, I was annoying one of my children on the weekend by every time that Kulusevski got the ball, I went left foot inside, and that's all he does, right? And he doesn't. You need. I know we're trying to buy some. You need some touchline hugging forwards to get the ball into on his head. That's the best way you're going to get out of him, and that's what we saw with his goal. And then the other thing is kind of we're not quite yet at it, but we could be in Soldado territory. So do you remember when he scored that goal at White Hart Lane, and basically the whole team squad, St John's ambulance all went to congratulate him when he got his first goal in March or something. We're kind of getting into that territory. He's got to be complimentary about him because I think it's quite clear we should have bought a striker, but we're not going to buy one, so he's stuck with him.
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it, with Richie? Just on that, we've been heavily linked with Fatty. Is that the name? How you pronounce the name? I don't know. Fatty. Anyone help? Yeah, I must admit,
that's better.
I'm not one that watches loads and loads of European football, so I don't necessarily know too much about him. But he's been labelled as the one that could potentially come in and challenge Richarlison for that number 9. Anyone got a view on him and if he's the one that could be that 20-goal season striker we need?
I did extensive. Sorry, you go.
Since you did extensive research, I'll let you go.
No, so I quickly looked at Wikipedia before I came on here, and
that's what you get at the cheese room, ladies and gents. You get Wikipedia facts.
Again, I was a late call-up, to be clear.
That's very fair.
Right? But even if I wasn't a late call-up, I'm on Friday. I'm still on Wikipedia, all right? And then a bit of YouTube, and then I'm researched, right? Because apparently I can only know about Angeball if I've lived in Tokyo, Brisbane, and Glasgow, apparently. So anyway, he's got his goal scoring record's not very good. I think he's a bit injury prone. And but other than that, sounds fantastic. I mean, what we were looking at, Gift Dorburn, Johnson from Forest, and someone who's on loan. So we're going to get him in on a loan deal. And again, we're scrambling around like we're paupers when we're one of the richest clubs in the world. So I don't understand it. Yeah. And how many? And one last thing. Sorry, how many forwards are we going to get left up top now? That we're going to get who plays on the flank, right? You got Son, Kulu, Gil, Mana. Who else we got? Perisic, and then you've got. We get this other guy in, who I thought played on the wing. That's 6. So I still got a funny. I don't know why. I just have a funny feeling that Perisic is going to go on loan somewhere.
Yeah, you said that. What's your take, Jack?
It'd be a real shame. I mean, again, to see Perisic, because I do believe that he's the one person who could get something out of Richie playing regularly. We've been saying that for a couple of weeks, obviously. But I mean, Fatih is everyone. I think the comments are showing. He has a huge wage, of course, because he plays for Barcelona and he's injury prone. Those two things are concerning, but the wage issue is one that I don't care about because I don't pay the wages, and at least not directly. And the clubs can work that out. He has immense talent. He's not as big as Richie, but in the end system, you need someone who can finish with a variety of balls coming into the box, and he has the technical ability to find the spot to have the 1-2 touch type finish that you need in this system that has eluded Richie so far, at least when he's not wearing a Brazil shirt. So I think that it's not a terrible signing, but it's not what we need. Going back to the very beginning of the show, as Dave's point, our third choice center back is Sanchez. So I know you asked about, Fati and whether we're bringing another attacker. I don't see attacking players as the greatest need. I'm not also saying that Manor Solomon is a world beater. I'm just saying as far as where the depth concern is, it's not midfield. It's not the front line for me. It's not at goalkeeper even, despite that penalty shootout performance, because that's not going to happen very often. Well, it's not going to probably happen at all anymore. So as a result, I still think the focus should be on center back, and I'm just very alarmed at the lack of even BS links to a serviceable center back, and the idea that possibly even Sanchez could go out. I mean, as I can't believe I'm saying this, but that worries me. I mean, when most of last year, all I wanted to do was get him out. So that's the issue for me. But he thought he could be a great solution for a problem that I don't think we have necessarily.
Yeah, Harry Fati is, according to a journalist, Helena Condis Edu, Spanish journalist, it's 99% done, only pending signature, loan, does not want to sell. They do want to sell him. He's travelling tomorrow to Tottenham to finalise the deal.
There you go. I mean, time will tell whether he works out or not. I've only seen clips, so it'd be unfair for me to sit here and judge him, but I'm glad it was mentioned. All I've been told is and then heard is that he is injury prone, and obviously, you expect the wages will be higher because he's come from Barcelona. Time will tell. Be someone I suppose to compete with Richarlison, but I'm completely, with the guys. I think that priority should be bringing in that backup, if you like, centre back, because it's been rumoured that Tanganga, Dier, Sanchez could all leave. There's all strong links, especially Sanchez at the moment. But I haven't seen one link to a centre back, which is strange because you could be left with two centre backs. That's not enough. We've got the quantity right now, but we haven't got the quality. But by the end of the window, we could have neither, which is a big concern. Tosin Adebayo rings, is the one for me. Fulham apparently training on his own. Reports that the move to Monaco has fallen through. Will he move to Tottenham because he's not going to get that much football, especially being knocked out of the Carabao Cup? He'd be more on the bench, I would have thought, or unless we get an injury or suspension. But we need a good backup centre back to be able to trust in big games. You don't want to get to the derby, Van der Ven or Romero suspended or injured, and have to put in Sanchez or Dier. Ideally, you don't want that. We don't need that for what we want to achieve, and us Spurs fans, we put up for that too long. But no, in terms of Fati, I'll take him. He's a player in the door. He's a player to compete with Richarlison. Is he the player we need or not? Personally, for me, no. I think Brendan Johnson would be a better signing because we can send players to Forest, homegrown, can play in a couple of different positions. So for me, he's the one, but time will tell.
In terms of the centre-back, Davo, I think we all agree that another centre-back would be favourable, is a word I'll probably use. Obviously, the rumours, it is obvious that in order to get another centre-back in, Dier, Tanganga, Sanchez, two of those three probably need to leave before we can bring another one in, because the squad's just too heavy. Mm-hmm. Do you see it likely that two of those three will leave? Is Tanganga's rumoured to have not agreed terms, or we haven't agreed terms with the club that Tanganga was going to go to. Dier is being offered to German clubs left, right, and centre, according to the press. Mm-hmm. Do we see it that two of those will go and we'll bring a centre back in, or do you think it will be as is?
Well, look, I mean, obviously, I've woken up distraught this morning to find out that Clement Longley has gone to Aston Villa, who, of course, is indeed very assured. But there is a kind of irony in that. I kind of objected to the fact that we were getting a loanee from Barcelona who can't get in the Barcelona team, and Barcelona aren't very good at the moment. And lo and behold, we just spent the last 5 minutes talking about another Barcelona loanee who we're going to get in.
Yeah. You mean the team that won La Liga?
That one, yeah.
Okay, just check, make sure we're talking about the same Barcelona.
I was talking about the Barcelona. No, but hang on. Yeah, you're right. No, we are. No, hang on a second. I'm talking about the Longley that we got this time last summer, who couldn't get into a shit Barcelona team. Oh, I can't swear anymore. And then this season he wasn't there, and they won La Liga. Ergo, thanks very much. You've proved my point.
Okay.
Oh, I've rescued that one.
It was long. Yeah, you sure did. They pulled that one out. Yeah.
I'm scrambling around at the bottom of the coal mine for that one. Thank God for that. Anyway, moving on. What were we talking about?
Well, just asking about.
Well, we need a centre. I mean, look, we've got Dier, Sanchez, Rodon, who's gone, Tanganga. We got VDV, Romero, and I did voice an opinion that if you get VDV in a bit earlier, I may have to pay another 2 or 3 million, balance that off against better higher placing and getting to know your team. But the point is that we should have bought a centre back earlier on. That's what we need. So the guy at Fulham, who I think was in and out of the Fulham team last year, I wanted Heung-Min or Kleeman, whatever his name is, from Wolves. And then there was the other guy who we've been linked with all summer from, where was he from? Leverkusen or whatever. He's not coming, so we're going to scramble around. So you're going to have to. I think Sanchez will end up staying. I think the big, obviously, the big deadline day move is not just Dier going, but what's going to happen to his allotment. Does it go with him? Is it like a drop in, drop out allotment, or does it stay there? Levy's got to sort that out as well.
Yeah, very true, Dave. Very, very true. Harry, did you say you've got some breaking news on Fatty?
Yeah, breaking news tweet from Fabrizio Romano literally 2 minutes ago as I was talking about Fatty, saying that Brighton have sent an official loan bid to Barcelona for Ansu Fati to hijack Tottenham's deal, saying understand they're increasingly confident to make it happen by the end of the night, and then saying Tottenham negotiated with Barcelona, but they want Brendan Johnson. He's their priority over Fatty. So all of a sudden, it doesn't look like it's going to happen. Weird.
Who knows? That's the thing.
They submitted a bid doesn't mean that they accept the bid. I mean, the question is, does Fati want to play for Brighton? Is he going to play for Tottenham if he can't get in the Barcelona squad? And I don't know the answer to that question. You could make an argument either side for that one, but I have no idea. That's just that. We all have to wait till we actually get some confirmation from the clubs.
Yeah.
But Brighton's a very nice place to live, though, so that might weigh up. It's lovely.
And are they not in Europe?
They
are.
No.
They're in Europe. Yeah, that's right. Plus, their algorithm and spreadsheets, which COYS data Dan is now copying these days, is much better than ours. So he should go there.
I think this center back problem that you're talking about, Dave, you started to allude to it. One of the things that you can actually credit Daniel in the past usually for is never letting players get down to the last year of their deal. You might not like the players that he signed, but one of the things he didn't allow is assets to depreciate. And now we've gotten into a situation where all of a sudden we had lots of players coming in the summer who were in the last year of their deals, and we see that that's where the leverage switches. And so if you're thinking about this from Dier's perspective, why would you take getting shipped out somewhere you don't really want to when next summer you can have much greater flexibility in where you play because no one's got to pick up a transfer fee? Same thing with Sanchez. He said no to whether it was Ukrainian club or Russian club or whatever, but no duh. Why wouldn't you wait to run your deal down so that, again, your options open up? And there's been a lack of attention, and there might be a lot of good reasons for it, that mitigating circumstances, I should say, for why we had so many players getting down to the last year of their deal. But we did, and we're paying for it. And eventually, we'll all celebrate and have a party when Tanguy's deal runs down. But it is a problem of these contracts, and I don't defend the finances, I don't defend the transfer policy, and I agree with Dave. It shouldn't matter. We should just sign the players like Barcelona and figure out how to deal with the rest of it and who we can register and who we can't register, because you need players in the door because you have the money. We don't even have to sell our broadcast rights for the next 20 years to do it. So I am a little frustrated with that, no doubt. But who knows? Maybe by Friday evening, we'll all be singing Daniel's praises.
Yeah, there's been a lot of chat in our groups around just sign the players, bring the players in. It doesn't matter what players are in our squad already. Just let them rot in the reserves. The reality is that's not a viable option, is it? Commercially, it doesn't make any sense to do that, Dave.
I don't agree with that.
What don't you agree with, Si? You agree with me, or you don't agree with him?
I just don't agree with anything ever anywhere. So no. What I mean by that Yeah, but what I mean by that is, so to Jack's comment before, is that what Levy has previously, so Ericsson, Dembele, Kane, all got down to the last 1 year, 6 months of the contract, right? And what I think the trend has been now, maybe over the last 5 years, is that players are more than happy just to let it go wind down, because they obviously, where they sign up to next, the transfer fee is paid to them probably over the period of time over the contract. And I think that's more of a strategy and of agents and players than ever before. And I think that's what it is. And Levy, you can't deal with that anymore. My view in relation to that squad, given the revenue we have as a club and where we are, and we're very comfortable from an FFP point of view, is at the start of summer, you go, all right, sit down, Vange, and I need these players. I need another. They all knew Kane was going. Ange said they had a conversation when Ange turned up, and he said, I'm going. I'm not signing a new contract, right? So I don't disagree with sending him for 100 mil or whatever to buy him, actually. I don't disagree with that at all. In the circumstances, the best deal you can get, fine. But what we should have done at the start of summer is to go, I need 2 centre-backs, which they needed, and a striker and whatever else. Now, Maddison is 50% of Kane, so that ticks that box. But I do think we're very reliant on him, really reliant on him. And then you've obviously sorted out the goalkeeper. And then you go, all right, well, I need these players. That's all right. And I get them in regardless. And then with your inventory that you manage, just like Daniel's and Enic's property portfolio, you manage it in the way where you go, I'm going to try. He's got rid of a couple of players on loan. Rhodes and Spence have all gone out on loan, but he's going to have to earmark 3 to 4 players where the contract gets cancelled. He did it with Aurier. He's done it with the Doc, and you just have to factor that into the finances, and that's what you do. You're right there. You're struggling. Harry, what do you think?
Yeah, no, it's a good point. I'm not really sure, to be honest with you. It's a tough one. But with the whole situation in terms of players going out the door, it'd be lovely to sit here and go, let's bring all these players in, but at the same time, you can't do that with players still here. I can understand the club not bringing a centre back in until we've got rid of centre backs, but at the same time, if they aren't going, I've said on plenty of shows, sometimes you have to do the harsh thing and rip out contracts, reduce the squad numbers, being able to bring players in. So I can understand that. But on Fatty, got more breaking news here from a couple of different sources in Spain, Barcelona, saying that the Tottenham deal for Fatty is completely collapsed. Tottenham have pulled out, and now full focus is on Johnson. So I don't know how true that is. But while we've been on this show, we've gone from signing Fatty to Bryan hijacking the deal to us pulling out. So talk about Tottenham. You can write it. You can make it up.
Harry, this is your second appearance. You're kind of bringing us a kind of a live transfer update of we talk about the player.
I know.
Then we say we could get undercut, and now the deal's off. I like this new feature.
Cool. We need Harry David on the transfer deadline show, whatever that looks like.
I'll happy come on.
Yeah. It is. It just goes to show that, doesn't it? I think that ultimately, none of us really know the truth about what's going on with the transfer dealings, and it will be what it will be. And I think there's going to be lots of coming and goings and twists and turns between now and, is it Friday deadline day? I can't remember.
Are you happy with that compliment, Harry?
I get on well with Matt. I mean, he hosted Last Word on Spurs tonight, so I'm not going to say anything horrible. It's a comparison I haven't had before, to be honest with you, but I take it. It could be worse, I suppose.
That's Cameron. He lives in Melbourne, and Melbourne people don't normally say sensible things, but that was a very sensible thing that he said. So it is a compliment.
I'll take that.
Yeah. Right. All right then. So just moving in then, I guess, as we look to close this transfer bit down. Jack, what do you expect to happen in terms of outgoings? Do you expect to see us come the last few hours of the window announce that we've ripped up a few contracts?
Well, let me tell you what I expect. I still expect that we'll get, or hope, I don't know, expect is the right word, hope that Dane Scarlett will get a decent loan to somewhere that he'll play. because again, I don't think he's ready. He had one nice moment last night, but I don't think he's ready for the Premier League. And I think he should play regular football. And I think there's some other people down the pecking order that should get some loans out. But what I don't expect is a lot of contracts to get ripped up. I think I could see one, but I just don't. I don't see Dier getting forced out of the club. I think he would probably just sit there and play behind the scenes and try to earn a spot back and hope for some injuries. I don't see Sanchez getting loaned out or sold. I think they're obviously, for whatever reason, I don't understand necessarily why. I think he's a great player. I think he could be wonderful. But Brennan Johnson seems to be maybe the only target on the offensive side of the ball that we're trying to get somebody in. But I don't think I'd be surprised if Levy tears up a lot of contracts. I see him pushing it all the way to the very 11th hour, and then bringing in something obscure out of nowhere that no one has even reported on. Quite frankly, I mean, some center back you've never even heard of. I mean, I just don't know what to expect. But I don't see him ripping up the contracts like he did with Aurier and with Doc. I just don't. The only reason they ripped up Doc, I think, is again they can't count, right? So, I don't expect that to happen.
Yeah. Thank you, KEB Keb. Thanks for the compliment and thanks for the subscribe. 125 watching, by the way. We happen to know factually correct statement that 60% of you watching tonight won't be subscribers. So, the 65, 70 of you watching that aren't subscribing, just hit that like and subscribe button. It takes 2 seconds of your time. We deliver shows Monday, Wednesday, Friday, pretty much every week, and some bonus material throughout as well. So do please hit and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and join the community. We're well over 7K subscribers now, heading towards 8,000, hopefully in the next few weeks. Davo, in terms of, someone asked a question in the group chat about ripping up a contract. Do you just want to quickly give us the layman's term of what we mean when we say that?
So ripping up a contract is basically, let's say someone's got 1 year left. You terminate the contract. You probably likely pay out what is owed under the rest of the contract. So let's say Sergio Aurier had 12 months left. So we paid him out his 12 months salary, any loyalty bonus, because you get a loyalty payment every year that you complete, and anything else that's owed to him. And I believe he was part of the Uno club with Coco Lamella, so he may have got a packet of his Uno cards, and on his way, you terminate and off he goes. That's what it means.
Yeah. What do you, Harry? What do you make of the Hugo Lloris? Sorry, excuse my cat. What do you make of the Hugo Lloris situation?
What I make it
quality entertainment here on the Cheese Room. You always get quality entertainment.
As always. A Hugo Lloris situation. It's sad that he's got to this, because obviously he's been a great loyal servant to the club, and what looks like his last game is coming up at half time, 5-0 down to Newcastle. Not the way we thought or wanted it to end, that's for sure. But no, I think his contract will be terminated. I think his and maybe Ndombele as well, maybe Dier could be terminated. I think there'd be at least a couple. I think Hugo Lloris will definitely be one of them. It's obviously the last thing you want to do, because you still have to pay them off the money, so you're not getting the player, but it does reduce the squad size. But if you aren't getting rid of the players, because our squad is still far too big, then sometimes it has to be done for the players' sake as well. It looks like we could. Now it looks like Johnson didn't look like that at the start of the show, but no, with Lloris, it's sad. I still think he's got it in him to do well and be a first-team keeper somewhere. I can understand him turning down the move to Lazio because he doesn't want to sit on their bench. It's no different, really, to staying here and being second or third, maybe fourth. He can still look to go elsewhere. So I think that Lloris still have confidence that there'd be a deadline day move for him. But, I mean, time will tell. But it's quite a sad situation for me.
Yeah, quite. Agreed. All right, so then. Well, I think at that juncture, we shall leave it there. It's been a great hour, 4 or 5 minutes tonight. lots to get through, lots gone through. Very quickly, to finish off, I guess, just to go round, Jack, what do you? I know we've got the preview show on Friday, but what's your expectation on what happens at Burnley at the weekend? Do we win, lose, or draw?
I expect the regular starting 11. That is pretty good lineup, playing good football, and we take Burnley apart. That's what I expect.
Burnley apart, Davo.
Oh, I'm doing the preview show, so I'm not going to ruin it by talking about what I think about it. So I'm just going to move on. But I do think you do have a voice alike, like Sean Dyche, Craig. Just saying.
Yeah, you said this a lot. Yeah, thank you, Davo. It's not quite the smooth sounds of Jack, but it works.
No one could be as smooth as Jack.
Yeah, okay.
No,
Seriously.
Yeah, I hear you.
Harry, what's your take for the weekend? Very quickly.
I'm obviously not feeling as confident as I did at the start of the week, but I still believe that Ange will motivate the players. I think the players have a point to prove, especially the best 11 that didn't out there against Fulham to show. Hang on, we're keen, we're ready to go. So no, I think we'll be okay. I think we'll win quite comfortably. I'm going to go with 2-0. I think it'll be fairly comfortable 2-0 win. Another clean sheet, that'd be lovely. There's a few doubts, I think, because I know Spurs with a mentality that Conte often questioned, the mentality issue. So this will really test that. But no, we need to bounce back, and the reaction is crucial.
Yeah, agreed. All right, well, gents, thank you ever so much for coming on as always. Davo, we will look forward to seeing you on the show on Friday. Jack,
I got one question before we go.
Yeah.
We didn't cover what I think is the most important question from the game. I've started something and I wanted to bring it back to it. I really need it's important for me to get the opinion of the panel. And it was this comment from earlier. I think the most important thing we need to decide is not the lineup, the changes, but what is everyone's opinion of that kit?
I don't like it.
Is it light brown?
It's taupe haze.
What? Is it Helvetica 99?
I'm not kidding about that. Taupe haze.
Do you know, I remember I thought we had a dark brown kit.
We did.
In 2005-06 because we beat Chelsea for the first time in a billion years, and then we went to Reading away and we lost. And we lost. I was on my honeymoon and watched it on my honeymoon, and we lost.
Am I alone in this thinking? I almost ordered one. I thought I loved it. I didn't like the bottom with it, but I loved it. So am I just alone? Okay.
No, I love it, Jack. My favorite kit of all time.
The one at the other night, you like
last night.
You like that
last night?
A lot.
I like the blue away shirt.
I do. I like that too.
Now that's out of the three of them. That's my favorite shirt. Is the blue away shirt of this collection that I will not be buying.
Oh, yeah, I'm ordering. I'm definitely ordering.
Yeah, but there's a lot of people on the cheese room that don't half like to wear this. They buy a shirt every year. I respect that, but they really, there's certain people, Caller, naming no names, he gets a catalogue out, he just loves to buy it.
Well, Caller buys everything, training wear, the whole lot, doesn't he? He goes full shebang.
He loves it.
He's a proper full kit W.
He is. We're not swearing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. All right, then, guys. Well, thank you ever so much again for joining us tonight. Those listening, please do like and subscribe again. See you on Friday for the reaction show. And the last thing to say is, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.